Absolutely.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brett Luter Show. This is part two of an absolutely riveting conversation with the Immortals creator that got
Mhm.
switched into the Matrix, Tom Althouse, episode 142. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
In the break there, I was thinking before the interview, I'm thinking idealistically, I'll do one segment on the legal pleadings, and then we'll delve more into the storyline in the second,
Hmm.
but you can't unmarry the two.
No,
The
no,
story, the legal pleadings are based on the storyline and how Warner Brothers switched the storyline and intentionally mocking you and Jesus.
right,
It's like what like I have friends that will make fun of me because I study the Bible sometimes, right? And
right.
it's like that's totally unnecessary. It's my path. I want to do with what I so when people go out of their way to mock whatever spiritual path you're on, that to me that's just darkness right there. So that's what's coming at you is darkness. You're
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there was a promise that I received that I believed in that said that if we succeed with this, remember the asking was about if there's a way to prove ourselves, right, as
right.
his children. And the idea came that if this was faithfully rendered and seen through with God's timing, basically, then there would be a period of like 70 years of peace. There would be a change of basically, we would have information about the one world order plan that we could head off, even like the Antichrist thing, we could head off with a whole new timeline of being empowered as a remnant, scattered people that had that faith I was talking about, like the cool Christianity, and would be able to change events by having the knowledge of what their plans were. And keep in mind that everything in the screenplay I'm being told now, it's coming true. Even the fake Oval Office is in here. It's all in here. The whole thing with red pill, blue pill, Neuralink, iPad Siri's in here before it was instigated or instituted. So all that's in there, and it's like it seems to be happening where it's almost like an old timeline is being done by the dark side, and we have a new one as God's children to look at how to derail it. And they're stuck to the old pattern where because we asked to be able to prove ourselves and came through, I believe, faithfully, we're now given the upper hand on a timeline that supersedes theirs. That we're able to know exactly what their plans are, how they're going to be instituted, and there seems to be something happening right now. It's almost metaphysical to me. It's like there seems to be a lifting, almost like a pseudo euphoria, where those that are actually, from my standpoint, I would identify as a remnant, people that have the faith, compassion, expertise, are feeling a lifting now. And what a cool way to identify each other by the feeling of a lifting, like almost euphoric. It's like peace and happiness, and it's like what's going on. What a way to select, if that's true, if others can verify this, to be selected that way, to be called out that way, with this wonderful feeling ensuing, as if we have been, it's almost like someone said, or God said, you did it, well done, you proved yourselves, I will lift you as a reward. So the Wachowskis will be looking like women, will be lifted in an incredible spiritual way. And it's like that seems to be happening. We'll know each other by our almost our elation, our feeling of wonderment and peace and happiness.
You know, the Wachowski brothers probably deserve to go to prison for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
But having them switch genders or even just be in transition or whatever state they're in is
Mm-hmm.
almost punishment enough, man. I feel bad for them. Is it worth the wealth and the notoriety to change yourself like that? I just don't.
Such a great question because you look at Andy and Larry both. Now, Larry had said historically in interviews, he said he was going to kill himself at one point and he needed
There you
a,
go.
yeah, he said, I needed a ladder. I needed a ladder to success. Dino Laurentiis, who wined and dined them and was on the copyright with them for Assassins, but then he erased them under Immortals. He erased them from that one because they failed as writers on Assassins. Another writer had to be brought in. But Larry said, I need a ladder. Larry's still forcing himself into claimants on the Matrix project. Andy has been distancing himself. Andy is not happy, and he didn't appear in 4, from what I understand, unless I'm mistaken. It can be pointed out to me if I'm mistaken. But he's not going to be in 5. And on 5, they're saying they're going to throw Larry a bone. He can be a producer, but not a writer. They said they're doing a do-over on my work. And Andy was asked in an interview, they said something like, "You must be happy now that you're a woman." He goes, "No, not really." He's like a bar guy, a bar dude. He's not happy. He is taking the punishment as punishment. Larry couldn't be giddier. He's like feeling just all the attention, which he thrives on, from this state. But yet on his dating site, even though he's married as a dating site, he still lists himself as straight. So he hasn't been altered, but he's going along with the dress up game. I guess he wants to be like a dress up game.
Straight can mean so many things, right?
Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah. Well, yeah. But but for the rest of us, it's interesting too, because keep in mind, say that God did have this as a prophecy. And that's what people kept telling me, all these different shows, they kept saying prophetic. I'm like, yeah, it all came true. And even Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think his name is, that astronomer that got bought off by Warner Brothers. Now he's posing with Fishburne as if he's the authority on Matrix. But he's not the authority on any of it. He didn't make it. He wasn't there. He didn't write it. But he's the spokesperson and benefiting, selling out to Warner Brothers. And he's the one that's now pushing the idea that Neo is Christ, and Trinity is Mary Magdalene, and Morpheus is John the Baptist, and Fishburne and him go back and forth on this. That doesn't work, because Larry had said that the doubting Thomas was from doubting Thomas, not Christ. So you can't switch that up off the original writer's sworn statements. So it doesn't hold. But they want to push this now because I'm coming forward with my work going, this was to give glory to God and Christ. And so now they're trying to claim that narrative and do a 180 reversal on it, right, and say that that Neo Thomas A is now Christ. No, it's not. No. And it's easy to stick in Mary Magdalene on any kind of film. The heroine is Mary Magdalene. The hero's Jesus. You can do that with anything, basically. Even the Truman Show. You can say, the character that was, the lead one was a Christ-like character. Truman was a Christ-like character, right? And that, Morpheus was his best friend drinking beers on the dock. And, and then you say Mary Magdalene is the girl that was rooting for him outside the TV show. It's just so stupid. But they're scrambling for straws to keep the authority on the narrative and claim it. And they're desperately doing that, But yeah, anyway, so back to your question, because I'm going on tangents here on this question, but go ahead.
So, when I first saw The Matrix, I was really hitting the law hard. Like I had 2 traffic cases. I was suing the Department of Transportation, the DMV in San Francisco. I had a small claims case going. I was into it, right? And that was before I learned about legal burnout, where you just get so involved, right? And I was smoking lots of weed and just hyper focused on all these different cases. And then I saw The Matrix, and I'm like, oh my God. So if everyone has a fictitious self, that's like mirroring the law with our straw man and the all caps name, how they create this avatar or straw man, and then they affect us through the straw man. And then at the same time, they're feeding off of us through ever increasing taxes, fines, and fees through Federal Reserve notes, because Federal Reserve notes is currency, which is spiritual energy, and it represents our spiritual energy that we pour into our jobs every week that we get that paycheck, and that represents our spirit. So as they take those Federal Reserve notes away, they're sucking us out. And so I saw that right away with The Matrix, and I wanted to ask whoever wrote The Matrix, and I'm learning now it's you, I wanted to ask whoever that person was, did you intend for that? Or is that just a coincidental metaphor? Because it's
about the currency and the takeover and that kind of stuff.
And the fictitious self, right? Because nobody's who they are. They're in the blue pill, right? So they're in their holographic self. It's not really them. It just blends perfectly into the study of what actually is happening with the law. And I do a lecture. That lecture at the event we were just at, we shared together. It was the magic of society, and it's about how society is a magical ritual.
You hit something so important, because what I was doing, as I said, whispering through art to reveal what the one world plan order was. Robertson, I had just gone through that president's meeting before I wrote it, where everything's taken away, deception. They said I keep my jobs, education, everything's taken away. My kids are reprogrammed, everything. So that dystopian thing of they are not who they appear to be, the man behind the curtain and all this, and who they proffer to be, like these wonderful, God-fearing, loving people, when they're actually doing a sex ring and abusing. So that disjoint of who they really are compared to who they're presenting themselves fits what you're talking about, I believe. And that's what I was trying to do, is show, even in the music that I submitted. In the music I submitted, they used it basically in the heart-stopping scene where he restarts her heart. But they were very concerned about the music being shown. And that's right here. It's right here on the entered with it. And so what's interesting is with the stamp, with the 1998 stamp. So what's interesting is even in the music, I was trying to show in the music, there's an undertone of dark with layers of beautiful music on top, very euphoric and mystical, like you're floating in a dream in the transport middle scene where audience gets breather as you go to the immortal society. And it's like Mayan architecture and green wooded, beautiful nature, where the elite have that. And the others outside the program that don't have the red pill program are left in squalor conditions in ruined cities and concrete. So that was something that even the guy who did District 9 fell in love with, he said, with the barbed wire where the people couldn't cross over, and they put in Elysium where it's in space.
Okay.
So yeah, that whole idea of the undertone in the music was such that it sounds very pleasant and advanced and beautiful, but there's this undertone of threat and dread in the music even. So it's a dichotomy in every aspect of the film. Who's really who and what do they really feel? Can you trust anybody? Neo's best friend in the original work is a former agent where his memories were erased, named Mendel, and they took that out. What they did keep was the gift that the one agent gives when he's in underground. It doesn't make any sense. This shows up knocking on a sliding peak door like a club, and he sips in a chip. It's why? Who is this? Why is he doing it? They never explain that. And it's like in mine, his best friend is let go from the program, and he says that his memories are erased. And the reason the architect allows him to leave the program is because they're going to employ him later. They're going to shock Neo later, Thomas A. and Trinity, when they break into the Cortex building, which, yes, I have, with the seamless walls. Looks like you're coming out of walls and doors and corridors.
Okay.
If you're in the program, that they were allowed to enter unimpeded because the architect reinstated his best friend to face him down, and that was supposed to be a shock, a betrayal of his best friend. But instead, his friend decides to be true and speaks in through the neural link or neural enhancer, jacks the neck, that he's not going to take out his friend. He's terminated from the room. Yeah. So that's something where, again, who do you trust? And one of the themes was friendship, faith, loyalty, family. Very important to my core, since I didn't have that growing up and didn't experience that at Pat Robertson's organization. Betrayal was dime a dozen. So I wanted to make a world in this film, another world where people like ourselves that have compassion and faith and humility would fit in. And isn't it interesting, Brett, that the tack they use on us, and me in particular, was calling me a narcissist, even to my children and everything.
Right.
When they compassion, like I'm tested as tremendous empathy, they call narcissism because they want to make it so that even if you get credit for your work, they can justify taking it as if they're taking it from a Hitler figure. And the family that was bought off spread to even to the kids. I heard from one of my nephews in the past. He said that, yeah, we grew up hearing that you were worse than Satan himself. Unbelievable. So it's like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so from my study of the dark forces, what they do is they take what God gives and then they twist it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so then they're constantly projecting their own actions onto the people that they're attacking. So they're the narcissists.
Yes.
Right? That's a straight dark side 101 tactic right there.
Yes, they even put it in Avatar. They said that Avatar, they take stuff and they make you the bad guys to justify taking it from you. And they put it in there. And Avatar was actually ripped off along with mine. We know that from a court copy center guy who told me about this, that, yeah, your work was taken along with Avatar, same case. He said he copied both discs of both sides of both films. And he said that he's the one that was the trafficker that sent me towards the Ralph Rios guy that, had the Jacob Rios marry the daughter. And we find out later that this guy who directed me that way was telling me all these things, like your attorney has your back against the wall, Rankin has your back against the wall. He's in their pocket. They were bragging about how you have no idea how much you're being screwed and how much you're worth. Listen to that. It's on tape. And then what happens is he is then I find out on his LinkedIn, this Frank Ayala, who worked at the court system, is listed as litigation support for Warner Brothers firm. So it's like it was all set up all along. But I lost my train on that one. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, you know, you're human. I think this is the first time I've ever seen you lose your train of thought.
I think in layers, like that's true. It's funny. I just watched this thing about geniuses. They say that they'll admit they're wrong. They'll go ahead and say, that if they did something off, they'll admit it. They'll also conceptualize in layers, and that'll take them different directions. Like that's why the writing works out well, is because you take it in different directions. But I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, so the original script, I've heard you say this in other, maybe it was a lecture, maybe it was another podcast. The original script, it was Trinity was really the focus.
Yes. One of the things I wanted to put forward was that basically in mine, Trinity is three people. And that's why they called her Trinity. When you break it down, it's not hard. They don't have very sophisticated minds, so they want to be clever, and that's why it's like, oh, Trinity will never explain to you what it means. Well, Trinity because three love interests in the original. As the main character, and I didn't call him Thomas A. They did. I called him Jim Reese. As he goes through all his terrible situations, he runs into different people that he tries to survive with, and that's why there's three women. One is the one he was married to, that the Smith character actually takes and erases her memories and reprograms her as his wife and a femme Nikita. It's much deeper, much layered, more richer story, and it's much more developed. They didn't know how to handle that. In fact, that's why they had another writer brought in to finish Assassins for him, and they were so pissed off. And that's why Joel Silver gave them the immortal story they called The Science Project, to satiate their anger over another writer being brought in. And they could tear mine apart because it wasn't even Warner Bros. Work. So the other one is part of the Oracle's entourage. That's the one that goes to the train station and gets them through. There's actually two train station scenes. They made it one to save on budget. It's supposed to be crowded with people pushing their kids forward for a better life into Hunger Games and things like this. And they wanted to cheapen the budget. They, instead of haggard people outside the program, they made it well-dressed couple, single, static one that's putting their daughter in. Makes no sense at all to do it that way, just to save on budget. And they threw in what they're familiar with. That's why the train man from Ghost is inserted. Let's just look at this one scene, the train station scene. They throw in the train man from Ghost as they make it up as they go along, like the DNA from Jurassic Park, fill in the DNA of the dinosaur. So they're like, make it up as they go along. Train man from Ghost does not belong in the Matrix. It doesn't serve any function. They're simply using another film. They didn't come up with anything on their own. And so they throw that in, and then take the liquid mirrors are actually a security device at the train station. They lift the liquid mirrors out of mine and put it in Morpheus's smoking lounge, where it's just like a parlor trick where he puts his hand through the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
The mirrors are very important to what the people outside the program are facing literally and suffering with. Because if you go through those liquid mirrors with a blue pill or with no pill at all, you'll be cut in half. And that's why they were trying to crowd at the train station. The only way into the Immortal program was to be at the train station. They kept that. And then what you do, and they put it in Good Place too. They put it there too in Good Place. The train, they made a little like amusement park train, really mocked it all out in Good Place. You have that if a mortal person who had been on the red pill takes your child with them through the mirrors, then you can get into the program that way. That's what the whole train station scene's about. And they take it and they remove the mirrors. You just ruined the whole device. And they have Neo running down the train tracks and coming back. There has to be a point where that transverses, but it's like just running down and coming back like an Escher print. And it doesn't make any sense. And they put those liquid mirrors in the hands of Morpheus's room, and they take the silver pen, which is carried by Neo to represent his creativity and free will, which is destroyed by an agent, and they give it to the architect as a channel changer. And they take the field of pods that belongs to, the architect, and they switch that around to the machines, and then they take the room of monitors that belongs to Smith, and they give it to the architect as if he's just watching reruns. It goes on, and then they reverse the red pill and the blue pill because they're doing Alice in Wonderland. And that's one of the biggest slaps in the face of humanity on people on this earth, is that even politicians and everybody says they're red pilled. Just think of it. Ask any child. If you say you're red pilled, you're saying that you support the ingestion of the blood of the children. Sound familiar? That's what the red pill is based on for a longevity program, the growth hormones in the young children. And so the blue pill is the bootleg pill. It's not eat me, drink me, and Morpheus' smoking lounge with a nice big chair. It's the red pill is given by Smith to Neo, but because they ruined the relationship, well, may I take you on the weird trip of how they made
Yeah,
Neo
20
superpowers?
minutes. Take us on a journey, Tom.
Okay, listen to this. They ruined it by following their own greed down on wanting to, quote, use up the story and get credit for all the images they thought were cool. There is no Superman element in this, but there's hints of what you could call Superman element in the
Right.
other piece I pitched. So I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I pitched the film to Bonaventura on Long Island, right, with Lenny Coco, his best friends, who was connected to Robertson's organization through his daughter-in-law, it's all connected. What happened was he asked Bonaventura, said, "This is revolutionary. We're making this." He had the script. What else do you have? That's common fare in any pitch session. What else do you have? I said, the dream movie. What happens in the dream movie? Now think of the Wachowski's small minds. Listen to them sometime on Bound talking the way they talk. It's unbelievable. They have no creative spark at all, which proved in the re-rendering of the work. But I was asked, what else do you have? I said, this dream movie. What happens in the dream movie? I said, well, convicts are experimented on. And what happens in their dream happens to their bodies. It manifests on their body. So one guy's attacked by sharks in his dream. His body tears shreds apart on the gurney. And I said, what happens is our main character learns to master survival in his dream by learning to fly. Now, follow what's going on here. So he learns to fly, and keep in mind the Wachowskis wanted credit for both films, right? So you're going to mix it together. So here's what happens. He flies to escape his dreams, and that makes him able to survive all these sessions. So then they do an experiment where they put them all together in the circle, facing in, like the tables when they're linked, right? And they are, like the whole back of the neck, they're linked together in that formation they used in Matrix. And what happens is he's supposed to be in charge of them in his dream. Now he's responsible for a whole group. What will that do in the experiment, right? So he can't help them. They started a campfire and he can't help them. They're all just dying right and left. They can't learn to fly. Limited. He escapes, wakes up, and they used it for Inception. He wakes up and he's sees a lab technician, right, facing him off. He grabs a scalpel. Our guy is blurred between what's reality and what's dream. Inception, used later. It wasn't even a screenplay that was shown. They were just given a visual storyboard, just like Matrix, visual storyboard only. Okay. He backs up against the window, having the upper edge on the tech guy. He feels the window ledge and tries to fly and falls to his death. Very dark ending, right? So what did the Wachowskis think? Superman. We're going to put Superman in the Matrix. Now let's look at this. The telephone booths are the stupidest thing you can put in the Matrix. Because if you're the agents or the architect and you actually are smart, all you got to do is limit the number of telephone booths and bug them like Get Smart where the floor falls out, or bug them like a trap where they're caught as soon as they get in there. There's nothing to it. It's a stupid device, but the Wachowskis put it in there because of Superman, the dream movie mixed with Matrix, Immortals. It's so stupid when you know the answers. And then who was brought in to justify it? Neil deGrasse Tyson, of course, bought out completely. He used to like the guy. Now he's a schmuck. So he's brought in to say, after I'd done this in interviews and a convention, he's brought in to say, well, the telephone booths were a necessary evil. No, they're not. Because in ours, all you have to do is just link to your own laptop or link to your home terminals, and you can download through that. It makes more sense that you do that than through a telephone receiver. Duh. So anyway, that's why they also had him leaping over tall buildings in a single bound and flying like this. Fist out, cape flying. They have him flying like that through the room of mirrors and stuff. They got him flying like that.
Right.
So that's what they did. Small minds butchering it, hoping audiences will never figure it out. They wanted credit for both films. Doesn't belong there.
Wow.
Neo has no Superman powers. Let me finish with that part.
Okay.
No Superman powers. The reason that Neo cannot be taken out by Smith without he doesn't have the Superman powers, is because the architect has established that only if he gives the green light to take Neo, then Smith can do it. Now follow this. Ready? So that's why he is just like us, regular Joe, right? And so Smith is just waiting and waiting for the green light to take him out. In fact, Smith is ordered by the architect to give the red pill to Neo at the end of the program. Smith wants him dead. But what does that feed, Brett? The need for stimulation of the architect. If they hate each other, it'll feed that stimulation. And if he doesn't let them take him out, then that feeds that too longer, doesn't it? And more intensified. And he allows Smith to build up with the hope that he'll be given the green light to take Neo out. When he finally gives him the green light at the hospital scene, the false flag hospital scene, the burning building. In was he using Dark City, by the way, to use up that warning about 9/11 coming.
Okay.
In goes Smith right to Neo, but he's all off kilter from the finally getting the green light that the architect planned for Neo to win. Betrayed Smith. Doesn't need the agents anymore. So Neo ends up cutting out, and follow this, cuts out the enhancer, the neural link,
Right.
and has Smith's memories, right? So he's dragged down to underground, and they adapt Smith's memories to Neo. He has to give up his own. The architect has eased it. And here's the fun, wild part. Architect wants Neo to break in with Smith's memories to the room of monitors to purge the agents for him. So he's doing it for the underground, thinking like he's going to, do this thing to stop the agents. Exactly what the architect wants, because he doesn't need the power of agitation anymore. He needs the power of worship. Neo does exactly what the architect wants by eliminating the agents, by using Smith's memories. Genius architect, not a stupid architect that's going to put telephone booths up.
I mean, why not just use a shoe phone at that point?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, right there you go. Yeah. If somebody suggested the Wachowski, they probably used it. But keep in mind, again, they said they argued with everybody how to end it. So that's like Coffee Girl, Grip, cinematographer. Everybody's going like, including Michelle McGee, the art director, and the graphics, and Owen Patterson. According to Wachowski's, everybody said to blow it up. Well, they were right. You destroyed the story. You asinine imbeciles. Wow.
So in the fourth Matrix now, there's a scene where Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit's playing, and it shows them like brainstorming about how to do this next version of the Matrix. I almost feel like that's mocking what you just described.
Yes, of course. I did not watch 4. I can't stomach it, so I won't be able to watch it. But others have told me about it, like you just did.
Okay.
And the more and more I hear, I'm blown away. I mean, I like to hear reports of it because I have to use it later. But it's like, oh my God, they don't. But they said this too, Brett. They said, we'll use the world Tom Althouse created. And they thought they could get around copyright law that way since I didn't die. And my son and I kept going, including my mom. So it's like, we'll use the world that Tom created. And in fact, their expert witness that we never got to get beyond summary judgment because they, blocked all our evidence. And just, remember they said the attorney was fired and he said he allowed them to proceed to summary judgment without objections. That's the only way you can win. Well, they decided that they would, even the expert witness said, Tom Althouse created a fantastic world. Even in trying to trash me, he said that. So they decided, we'll take the world Tom Althouse created, or was downloaded to, and that way we won't be copyright infringing so much, but we'll use a Jackson Neck, everything else. So, yeah.
I realize you've been through the mill, right? And your nervous system is probably,
it's fried. Yeah.
Right. And so if you can't watch it, you just can't watch it.
Can't watch it.
Right.
I cannot watch it. No, it would be too much. Yeah.
So, I've seen it several times now. And after listening to you, I think that movie is about what they did to you.
That's what I'm told. I'm told from inside that that's exactly it. It was to be the
ultimate other world.
Yeah, ultimate mock of the author.
And then retrap Neo in that new world.
Yes.
And so he had to get back out of that again. It almost seems like a metaphor for a legal shenanigan.
Well, that's it. They said that they put me in my own story. That's what the attorneys from Warner Brothers said. They said they stuck me in my own story. Mm-hmm. And in fact, in depositions, there's a statement where the one lead attorney that was classmates with Tony Rankin, who had a suspended license, said, given the fact you wrote The Matrix, strike that. Even said it, because it was too much evidence. But yeah. It was Tony Rankin, by the way. His suspended license was reinstated by Warner Brothers lead attorney, who was classmate, after throwing the case.
Just a little sidebar. I forget, government code 3032 or something like that. Don't quote me on the exact code. Says that for attorney to be licensed, they have to have the state seal stamped upon their license on the face of the license, and none of them have that. Right. So whatever, like you just said, he with sanctions or something, got stripped of his license or got relicensed,
suspended. Yeah.
It's just, there's so many layers of deception. So, okay. So just so I'm clear though, and so our viewers are clear, and you're doing a great job explaining so much detail.
Well, thank you.
In such a short time.
Well, it's my baby. It's my baby.
Right. It's still hard to follow for people.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Right. So the red pill and the blue pill were intended opposite of the way they portrayed it.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I got that right.
Yes.
Um,
So yeah, the red pill in theirs, they turned it into Alice in Wonderland. You know that eat me, drink me thing. So they turned it into Alice in Wonderland, and that's what Morpheus was doing, and in the stolen version. But it's supposed they thought they'd be clever by doing the Alice in Wonderland version. But it's really, as I said, the red pill is ordered by the architect for Smith to give the red pill. Smith is ordered by the architect to give the red pill. He doesn't want to give Neo the program, but he does, and Neo has to take it, or him and his family will die. In fact, in my scenes interrogation scene, Smith lays out a Magnum or whatever, a gun out there, a government issued gun, and Neo says, "Is that for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, if you want to use it," because he wants him to take his life. It's like weird saying they put me in my own story. And then later, as I said, the blue pill is given when Neo's in underground, but because he's been cut from the program, he's cut from the program, and it's what the architect planned. And then Morpheus gives him a blue pill, not based on the blood of the children, with painful side effects, that they could re-enter the program to take on Smith and the architect again. See, so it's that's what you need to get back in. So it's not a red pill and a placebo. And there's another aspect I want to share, Brett.
sure.
It's very important that they butchered, is that the red pill is not a cognitive enhancement modality. It's not. It is a longevity system. So red pill gives you longevity. The jacks the neck give you the cognitive enhancement, that's why they gave it to Elon Musk to claim the neural link, which was called neural enhancer in mind, to enhance your cognitive abilities. So they work hand in hand, but no one's put those together yet. It's the red pill. The architect has the red pill based on the blood of the children for a longevity program. And then the cognitive enhancement is the jacks to the back of the neck that hook up with your computers and stuff, which are now doing, ripped off from me by Musk and them and Warner Bros. And them. And then you've got the Surrey program, which is Neo's wife. I told you about one of the Trinity parts was his wife, and he reprograms the AI agent companion that they put in Halo later to be the addictive opiate, basically. So you've got longevity with red pill, cognitive enhancement with Jackson Neck, and the addictive opiate program, which is the AI agent program, which simulates a loved one you've lost. Think of it this way. A loved one you lost is programmed with mannerisms, speech, sayings that you heard from them, and your home, your TV, your enhancer, everything uses her or his verbiage and mannerisms and everything. And I went so far as it made it, it had a mode where it was more secretarial, where if you needed things solved, like I need the parameters checked, it'll say parameters on TV matched or incoming calls that match. It'll be very clerk-like, clerkish. And then when it anticipates your need, it'll go into that love mode where it'll act as the lost loved one, saying, I love you, honey. I'm here for you. I'll miss you. So it has a way to work together. And now I'm told that patent offices are working on this now, or being submitted, where they want to do this now. They want to do exactly what's from the screenplay, where you have an interactive AI agent that acts as your companion, which will make it addictive for the red pill taking, and the jacks the back of the neck, don't ever use the neural link, is going to be then, if you get rid of your neural link and figure out this is not helping me, it's actually blocking my faith and the feeling of faith and stuff, then I'm going to get rid of it. Well, if you get rid of it, you'll lose also your AI agent companion program that rides with it. That's the opiate to keep you keeping it. Isn't that crazy? And think of our children being addictive to their loved one, friend, or lost mom or something. Do you think they're going to want to get rid of that? So, but the government will be able to take your enhancer, just like in the movie, with a shard of glass, whatever, take it out. And that means if your loved one is, say, an agent posing as a homeless person, they often do this, takes your loved one's enhancer, that means they have all your intimate moments, if it's your wife. They have your ideas, your codes, your security codes. Say you bathed your daughter when she was young, gave her a bath. Pedophiles in the agencies will be able to take that and live the tactile moments of bathing your child. Neural enhancer, neural link is the mark of the devil. It is the beast. You do not want it. And that's why they gave it to Elon Musk, who isn't even an engineer and never created anything on his own. He's a patsy for Warner Brothers and Paramount. And they're the ones that, and if anybody wants to question this, it's like, watch Iron Man 2, where in 2002 or so, I may have the date right, that gives a cameo in Iron Man 2 in the Grand Prix or whatever it
I
is,
remember that.
restaurant
Yeah.
scene. Yeah, that's just to groom him before he's given Neuralink. So what the studios are doing is claiming Neuralink, neural enhancer, jacks the back of the neck. First thing they yelled at me at the deposition was, "You didn't create jacks the back of the neck." I opened this blindly to jacks the back of the neck. And what happens is they wanted to claim it first. In fact, the Wachowskis, Brett, said this. In 1995, the Wachowskis said, when they were given the story to steal, the science project, as they called it,
Okay.
it's in the Lost uh, article, they call it, the Lost Wachowski article or whatever. They said, when they're asked what's next, there's a long pause in the transcript, and it says, "We were hoping to be given the science project." They said then, when they're given the work to steal the Immortals in 95, they said, "We want to do Jacks the back and neck for real." Now, the reason they're announcing that publicly is they're trying to force Warner Brothers' hands and say, "Okay, we'll give you the tech also worth billions. We'll give you the story and the tech credit." They wanted everything. That's why they kept the Superman, the Dream movie in, mix it together, which ruined the story. So what you've got is this real quick. They claim Jack's back the neck. Warner Bros. Slaps him back down. They said, "We'll decide who gets it." So they take a failed engineer, besides giving failed writers the right to take it after they make sure it's established they came up with it first. So erase the author, throw it by claiming sequels only, not the Matrix. Again, if you look up Tom Althouse case, I never had a Matrix case yet. They forced it with their own attorneys, legal contract, sequels only. So that's not a case. And argued that any matchups in Matrix don't count for sequels, so therefore no matchups. Doesn't make any sense. But the tech they claim, because I'm out of the picture, they thought, now they can claim the tech. Now they groom Elon Musk. Iron Man 2, like I said, grooming. And then in Young Sheldon, they show Elon playing himself, stealing the rocket tech. Playing yourself, stealing rocket tech from the lead character, from his notebook. That is desperation for fame and money and women. That's desperation, like the Wachowskis were promised fame, fortune, and money, or starlets. So he does that, and then in Star Trek Discovery, they show him, or the main character, and it was a bad actress. Ugh, don't like her. She was actually saying the neural enhancer. Then she repeats the neural enhancer, which is what I called it in a Matrix story, neural enhancer, Immortals. Then she says neural link in the same episode, episode 6, season 1, Star Trek Discovery. Neural enhancer, what the author called it, and the neural link. So Elon Musk didn't even come up with the name. Paramount did. And the attorney for Warner Brothers received my work at Warner Brothers, Pamela Kirsch, then went over to Paramount to launder it through there, where the other attorney went over to Netflix. So what you've got is Paramount, then with a lead attorney from Warner Brothers, one lead attorney, Pamela Kirsch, is now doing the final cap before they give it to Elon Musk to claim it in-house at Warner Brothers and Paramount before they give it to Elon Musk. Elon Musk has to do whatever they want, or they'll call it back and say, "We came up with this first." So that's why he was given it. And in that same episode where they say Neuralink, neural enhancer, Neuralink, the captain of this enterprise says, "How do you want to be remembered in the future?" With the greats like Wright brothers and Seth Cochran, who discovered warp drive in the series, or Elon Musk. So then they have the main character was talking about neural enhancer listed as going to Elon Musk Junior High. All this is grooming. Elon Musk doesn't even understand the tech. He's not even an engineer. He actually took Tesla cars from the two guys that created it, and he bought his way into the Tesla company with the two guys that created the Tesla car, and then he removed them and took credit for their work. He's a schmuck. He's a shyster. Yeah.
I'm glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah, I had to share that.
Hey, so we're like 30 seconds left. When's the next court date?
First documentaries, first make the movie, educate the court of public opinion, then go after them.
Okay.
You may not even need to show up in court.
Do you got any other screenplays ready to go?
Yes, I do. I've got 16 going on 17.
And you're going to be appearing I'll be honored to appear with you at the Star Knowledge Conference this June 5th through 7th. And I look forward to seeing you. We're going to have more good times ahead. Tom Althouse, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
You have a great night. Thank you for this.
You as well.